Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel, and today I want to share with you a discussion that occurred within the XRP community on the Twitters, and it's about, I think, really a question is asked here that I think is absolutely reasonable to ask, which is, what does it take for XRP to reach the tipping point? And what do I mean by that? Well, I guess anybody could mean any number of different things by it, but I think when that's asked, what strikes me is, what's it really going to take for XRP price-wise to take off? What is it going to take for it to be decoupled from Bitcoin in terms of price action? What about all of this activity we've seen within you can say the XRP community, you could see, say, developers building on top of the XRP ledger, as well as what Ripple's been doing as a great steward, great cheerleader for the XRP community. If not that, then what and when? Totally legit question, kind of fun to talk about and think through. So we'll start there in this video, but I want to share something unrelated towards the end, which I just think is an interesting story. It comes from You Today, and this one's titled, Rolls-Royce Debuts Car with Secret Encrypted Message. What's the secret, Rolls-Royce? I can't not know. But before we go any further, if you would please delicately tap that like button. And also, if you are a fan of Ripple and XRP, you've definitely come to the right spot. Congratulations for finding the treasure, the gem that is the Moon Lambo channel. Go ahead and subscribe, because you know what? It's free. Why the hell not? I'm telling you, there are worse ways to spend your time. So then you see things like this, and I just wanted to briefly mention this. It's on the same topic, effectively. There's a tweet from Leonidas, who runs XRParcade.com, and he tagged me in this, and I already made a video about this particular link, so I'm not going to talk about it, but it was the Ripple timeline. It was really interesting, just all the developments, basically from the beginning of time, or at least Ripple's time, anyway. And then there was this new tweet today from blessingthepoor.com. Not familiar with this individual, but wrote the following. If you're wondering why the XRP price does not go up, it's because of the massive supply held by Ripple founders and a few other companies. XRP held by Schwartz, Larson, Roger Ver, Jed McCaleb, Kidd, SBI, Ripple, and R3 equals over 85% of the total supply. Study the XRP rich list. So now it's not just bad enough that Ripple's got a huge stash. Now you're going to combine a pool of a number of others that have interest. Now, I didn't go and verify myself that 85% number is correct. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I didn't fact check it. But to talk through what I want to talk to, I don't have to get to it. It's just, this is some of the stuff that I do see. Now, usually when you see comments from people talking about Ripple's holdings being too much, okay, admittedly, most of the time, it's just a Bitcoin maxi troll, but there are a small percentage of those in the XRP community. I'm not sure if this individual falls into that camp, but clearly, the holdings don't seem to have anything to do with it. How much XRP itself is sold by Ripple doesn't have anything to do with it, and if you're wondering if those two statements I just made are true, well, think about the holdings. So Ripple's holdings have gone down a little bit over the last few years, fine, but they still hold a massive stash. So even while they had the massive holdings, what happened even just in 2017? You still saw XRP go from 20-something cents to almost $4. So that wasn't a factor for people that thought, hey, there's something to this, or people that just wanted to speculate. Maybe there's some dumb money in there. Okay, fine. We know how buying cycles go. Uneducated money. Okay. But still, it's not something that's going to stop it. We already have proof of that. XRP being sold, we've seen the amount that Ripple sells drop dramatically. In fact, dramatically? Words are hard sometimes. We saw it drop dramatically from Q1 compared to Q4. It dropped, it's like 84, 86%, somewhere around there, right? So that brings us to this thread. I was tagged in this by Dr. Harry J. Malinsky on another topic that I already made a video about just the other day, so I'm not going to talk about this topic, but he's talking about the idea of Ripple being able to, you can purchase Ripple stock right now on the secondary market, even before the IPO. That's true. I've known that for a couple of years or so. And there's some very high requirements. If you want, go ahead and you can find my previous videos like a couple days or so ago anyway. But the thread that continued here is what I really wanted to talk about. And so I'll just read through it here. And so the initial tweet from Dr. Harry J. Malinsky was responded to by Michael Nardolillo, who wrote, equity in Ripple has been available for years on the secondary market like other private companies. And then you have Lan Jevison, who responded, Mike, you used to answer a lot of my questions on Reddit back in the day and a little on Discord. In your opinion, what's the status of Ripple these days? Are they behind, ahead, right on pace? XRP is included in this. Is Ripple feeling that squeeze? Why so many pivots? Well, I've talked about I've given you my opinion, and I'll be brief with this, but my whole concept of this is Ripple's in uncharted territory in many ways. Nobody has ever tried to do what they're doing, which is, position a decentralized cryptocurrency to help money move around the planet in a massive way. Like this has not been done, and the way to go to market for this, given that cryptocurrencies to some still seem like such a taboo concept, it's not surprising to me that there have had to be pivots. To me, this is smart. I'm a business owner, and as things have happened over the years, I mean, at one point within the first few years, and I mentioned this once before on my channel, I had to redo my entire business model just to stay in business. Not taking action would be the problem. Pivoting and that being publicly visible, that's a positive in my opinion. Worth asking, though, so I'm not criticizing him for asking the question. Lan Jevison then wrote, just checking in. It's been 3 years since I started digging into XRP and Ripple, and I do think their progress has been stagnant as of late. Still bullish, but it's hard when other coins are making gains while XRP declines. And this, guys, this is where it's very important to distinguish between Ripple, the company, and the performance of XRP, the cryptocurrency, in terms of price action and adoption, certainly, as well. Now, Michael Nardolillo responded, Ripple progress has been far from stagnant. Listen up. 100 plus customers in the last year. Definitely hard while other coins gain and XRP doesn't, but that's not a testament to Ripple's progress with XRP. Lan Jevison responded, if those 100 plus customers don't move the needle for XRP, then how substantial is that progress? Well, to be clear here, customers using the banks and remittance companies utilizing XRP is not what determines the price of XRP. XRP is a decentralized cryptocurrency that you can buy and sell on open market. So what decides the price? It's more like who decides the price. Humans decide the price, all right? Now, as far as the actual adoption here in terms of the usage, that's where my investment thesis comes in, which is utility matters and will win the day, which is not financial advice. I no financial background here. Don't buy or sell because of me just sharing an opinion. It's a fun topic for conversation. But my whole thing is that as I see adoption continue to build, developers on top of the XRP ledger, what Ripple's doing in positioning XRP, I know what that does for me. That means, what's clicking in my head? I'm thinking, wow, this is staying power. That's why I'm happy to continue to purchase XRP. That's what I choose to do. But it doesn't mean that every time there's nothing mechanical that means every time there's some sort of awesome new development within Ripple's positioning XRP to be utilized as bridge currency. It doesn't necessarily translate, and almost never does when great news comes out, into the price action of XRP, which I'll get into more in just a moment. But Michael Nardolillo responded to that and wrote, Ripple customers doesn't equal XRP use. So he's saying, I think I butchered the way I said that, but Ripple customers does not equal XRP use, right? And then Lan Jevison wrote, right, but we also can't separate the two. They are very different, but I know what he means by that. In terms of expecting Ripple developments to impact the price of XRP, and for me, I state it more broadly. It's more like development on top of the XRP on the ledger as a whole is what interests me. Well, of course, Ripple being the most dominant, I'm not denying that, but still, I look at the whole picture. Michael Nardolillo responded, no, we can't, as far as separating the two, as it seems around 7 to 10% of Ripple customers are at least testing on-demand liquidity, but corridors and liquidity is limited. That being said, we went from thousands a day of on-demand liquidity use to tens of millions a day in 2 years. Did you hear that? From thousands a day of on-demand liquidity use to tens of millions a day in 2 years. Might that ultimately matter when institutional investors come in? Well, they already are, but as that continues to occur, might that be a metric that they look at? Again, to me, it always goes back to real-world utility. And so people can park, they can recognize an opportunity for asymmetrical returns, they can think, hey, store of value. There are all sorts of reasons that people could choose to purchase XRP, even if they're not using it personally in their daily lives, and some are, but not many. Same true for any cryptocurrency, and that's fine. I don't think that it has to be used in place of money. But as long as it's getting used, I can see why people would certainly want to purchase it. Lan Jevison then responded with this. He wrote, I agree with you there is progress, but it feels like there would have been a tipping point by now. I realize I have my foot on the gas, especially when you consider the number of global employees Ripple has helping to push adoption. So there we go. And this is, I wanted to make sure I covered all of this so that I could get to what I really think is the most interesting point of this. This idea of shouldn't there have been a tipping point by now? No. This is my opinion. It's perfectly reasonable to ask this. Maybe you've been wondering this yourself. I don't know when that's going to happen, but can I just illustrate something for you? I've got live CoinWatch on my screen here right now. And you can see it's got the market cap for every cryptocurrency. I can scroll all the way down. And let's see, there's 60 pages of cryptocurrencies. So on here, there's almost 3,000 listed. I think I read somewhere within the last several months or so that there are actually over 5,000 cryptocurrencies, so it may be the case that a ton of them are not listed here for some reason, assuming that number's correct. I don't know for sure. It doesn't matter for me to make my point in this video. But you see all of these, right? And most of these are just bunk nonsense. It's amazing the ledgers are alive for some of these, right? but there are a ton at the top. And we certainly don't need thousands of cryptocurrencies. I can't imagine a world where we do, especially not if you're positioning them to be used as money in place of some sort of particular, look, sir, imagine if when you got a haircut, you had to use haircut dollars. Imagine if when you bought a banana, you had to use banana dollars. Imagine if when you groomed your dog, like say I was going to go groom my pet Peeve, who is my 5-year-old terrier mix, if I had to use Peeve dollars or something like that, or dog dollars, that would be ridiculous. So you don't need money for everything you do. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. And so a lot of this will go to the way if that's all it's intended to do. A lot of this was just a money grab. So there's these ideas, maybe they're good, maybe they're not, and you've got a coin attached, and if you're running the project super duper, although you may also be selling an unregistered security, so watch out for that if you're doing that, and SEC has called out some of those. But the point that I want to make here is that all of these cryptocurrencies, they're all following the price action of Bitcoin. And so what can we glean from this? Well, it seems an undeniable truth of life that XRP is just following the price action of Bitcoin. And as far as what it's going to take to get there, well, clearly all of these positive developments in real-world adoption are not enough, but they still matter. What this illustrates to me is an immature market, an immature asset class. Because you can see, think about the frenzy around the dot-com boom and bust. When what did that bubble run up to, like $6 trillion, and then it just kind of almost, the massive sell-off, tons of people lost a ton of money. I mean, a lot of people made a lot of money too along the way. But that just illustrates when there's a new technology and people don't know how to behave, they get stupid, all right? STOOPID, stupid. And they don't know what's going to happen. So it was more so when people were betting with their dollars like that, it's more like they had this idea, yeah, there's something to this internet thing, right? And then stock, you put a .com on a company name, it's like, here, take my money, right? Well, same thing happened with the ICO craze, and people aren't done acting like this because it's still not clear how this is all going to pan out. So what's it going to take? Well, not just real-world adoption of XRP, but it's going to take a maturation of the asset class. And is that going to happen? Yeah, I firmly believe that. And once all of the rest of this bunk gets fleshed out, and once the frenzy dies down, maybe not entirely, but some of the nonsensical stuff here, I could absolutely see that this, the utility side of this all would take hold in a notable fashion. And that's something that I'm not ever going to lose sight of. I firmly believe that, and it's fun to keep tracking this and talk about this on a daily basis. I have a blast making YouTube videos because it's so fun for me to think through, and if you're like me, I mean, you're watching this, so you must be like me to some degree. And so we're just going to see how it unfolds. I don't know what the timeline's going to be like, but it's going to happen. I feel like 100% confident of that aspect. But no, given the immaturity of the asset class and that most people haven't done sufficient research into Ripple or XRP, no, it's not surprising that XRP is where it is. But you can take a look at this. There are some that do. You're one of them probably if you're listening to this channel, or you're a Bitcoin maxi troll that lives under a bridge eating room temperature cottage cheese. That's perfectly plausible as well. But I'm guessing that most of you are part of the XRP community or you're learning about it still. And so it's people like us, broadly speaking, that invest and we hold, and that's the reason that XRP is where it's at in terms of market cap. It's number 4 right under our beloved Tether, right? That's because there are enough people that see it. But in terms of broad price action, man, it doesn't take much, especially with illiquid markets and whales manipulating the space. It doesn't take much. And since people still broadly don't know what's happening, it's still just following the price action of XRP. And you know what I think? I think that's okay for now. I don't think it's okay forever, but I also don't think it will be the case forever. So that's my 2 cents on that. Let's jump into this fun piece briefly now. There's not a lot to say about it, but I thought it'd be fun to mention. From you today, Rolls-Royce debuts car with secret encrypted message. British luxury auto manufacturer Rolls-Royce has unveiled Wraith Cryptos, a special edition of cars with a cryptographic twist. Think about that name, Wraith Cryptos. The most peculiar thing about the exclusive collection of only 50 insanely expensive vehicles is a mysterious encrypted message. And then they have the subheading, only 2 people can crack the code. So the code that could mean anything extends throughout the car, with the illuminated headliner being its most visible part. Only Wraith Cryptos designer Katrin Lehmann and Rolls CEO Torsten Moller Atvos, I don't know, I'm probably not saying that right, can decipher it, and there's an envelope containing the answer, and it's kept in the company's safe. And that's according to Rolls-Royce press release. And so there's a little quote here, who will crack the code? And what answers will the code bring? Only time will tell, or will it? And then it states, all prospective owners of the new car are encouraged to submit their suggestions via Rolls-Royce's own social network called Whispers. Yes, there is one. Fascinating. So I don't know what the hell that's all about, or specifically what it what it does. But how about that? It kind of seems, especially with what they're even naming this thing, like they're kind of picking up on the crypto trend a little bit. Interesting. Well, it got my attention, so take that for what it's worth. That's it for this video. I am not a financial advisor. Do not buy or sell anything because of anything that I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo!